Hello, I'm David Adams. Welcome to my channel. This is part 2 of the Bighorn sheep scene demonstration. And I want to share a link to the Scrimshaw Gallery website. I'll leave a link in the description below directly to the page I want you to see. This ram scene, I was under the impression that it was a commission piece, and I had a choice of North American wildlife, and I chose the rams, bighorn sheep. But I guess that didn't happen because he listed the piece on his website, which I want to share with you. And when I finished the piece and sent it off, I wrote to him and told him that this was one of my best. And he agreed. And I asked him if I can quote him on that. And so I added a quote of what he said at the end of this demonstration. So I want to share that page on the Scrimshaw Gallery and then move on directly to the demonstration. I begin this demonstration with the rams in the foreground. The colors for these rams will be very warm and rich. I start by etching the ram's shoulder and neck with somewhat heavy pressure, and I'm etching between the laid out cuts. I'm very careful to avoid crossing over the previous cuts as to not disturb the fur pattern, although in some areas in the darker values I will deliberately remove some of those cuts to improve on the fur pattern. As I make these short and quick cuts, I will ease up on the pressure used to make these marks and progressively make lighter and lighter cuts as I move into the lighter values. Regarding the colors I use for any given scrimshaw, I work with a very limited palette. Consisting of the primary colors and a few secondary colors. I also use white when needed, as well as a neutral gray like russet or sepia. For my palette, I use a simple sheet of plastic on which I lay out my colors for mixtures. And here I have a pool of russet, red, and blue. Russet is a neutral color used for blending mixtures to decrease the intensity of other colors. It serves as a neutral gray for most of my mixtures. Here I spot test the mixture before applying it to the etching. Russet is the primary hue for these rams, with red as the warming agent and blue as the cooling agent. I miscalculated on the blue. I was a little too heavy-handed, so more red was added to the mixture. After inking an area, I will always go back and make several passes over an etched area to fill in the gaps or strengthen the intensity of a color, or simply apply an overlay of another color. I made more cuts for an overlay of a warmer hue, red and russet. But this mixture seemed a little too warm, so I added a touch of blue to calm down the mixture. I sporadically lay in passages of scratches as markers for subsequent etching. I do this across the entire body of the ram, bringing the etching, the marks, closer and tighter together. The cuts made here are very light, short, and quick, without concern of cutting over the other marks. There's no need to explain what's being done here. It's basically very tight stippling. The color of the iris varies from ram to ram. I chose a mix of red and yellow. The colors used for the horns are basically the same as the body. The difference is the color ratio within the mixtures. Here I make a mixture of red and yellow as the foundation color for the horns. As I make these marks across the horn, some spots are left untouched to serve as highlights. The colors used here are russet and yellow, with russet being the primary color for this mixture. I apologize for the glare in this footage. I'm using a new camera, and unfortunately my camera was positioned incorrectly here. So I'm at least showing this little piece of the unusable segment. Here I mix yellow and violet, and for the body of the rams I did include some violet. That part of the demonstration was not filmed. And these segments, not shown here, in those segments I use these two colors for the ram's horns. These colors are blue and violet. This is the foundation color for the background mountain, which may or may not be adjusted depending on the overall color scheme of the composition. So the coloration of the neighboring landforms will determine subsequent application of color for this mountain, whether to increase or decrease its intensity or chroma. I'm sharing this image to show how I make a correction using black ink. This ram here, I deliberately made an error on the right side of his head. Now I'm going to go back in and lower his eyelid here, and I will adjust the contour of his nose and correct that using cross-hatching over the lines laid out here. And I'll do that now. I intentionally made this error for this demonstration to show how I make a correction with using black ink. I use a liner brush to carefully paint over the cuts. I loaded the brush with the least amount of ink as possible, yet enough to fill in the cuts. Very carefully, I apply the black ink to only those areas that have been etched. This is very challenging for me with the camera interfering with my field of vision. To remove the ink, I fold a paper towel around a toothpick. With a bit of saliva on the napkin, I carefully swipe the area and fold over the paper towel and repeat. I'm ever so careful to wipe against the cut marks. Here I am filling in the gaps to repeat this process. I remove excess ink accumulation with a toothpick. I am satisfied with the correction, so I make additional cuts here in this area to reapply the missing color. The colors used here are russet and red. This color combination will compensate for the lost color when making the correction. I apologize for the jiggling movement in this video. This is a new camera and I'm adjusting to it. The tripod was up against the cushion under the ivory, so it made a lot of jiggling. So anyway, here I'm etching the middle ground, the rocky middle ground for color. Here I'm etching the vegetation or grass on this rocky outcropping. The color used here is russet, and I apply that color over the entire area. This serves as the foundation color for the middle ground. For the rams in the middle ground, the colors I use are russet and blue. When the mixture is applied over the sheep, it appears green. The intensity of blue is greater than russet, so when the ink is wiped away, the illusion disappears. Now what you see is a tannish color. The rock is etched for a warmer mixture. This is a mix of yellow and russet for the rocky outcropping. The warmer color applied to this area will bring this rocky outcropping closer to the foreground in the scene. I etched the vegetation in this area, or grass, to be inked with a darker green, and subsequent etching of this area I'll introduce lighter and lighter greens and yellows. For the greenery area, I wanted a darker hue for its foundation, so I mixed in some red with the green to make a darker color. I etched this area repeatedly for lighter and lighter greens and yellows. Now I move on to the mountainous background. Now this is a very, very time-consuming process. I spent days upon days doing this. What I share here is only a glimpse of the amount of time I spent in this area. The color used for this mountain is a straight blue, nothing else. This is the foundational color or base color for this structure. I don't show it in this demo, but subsequent layers of etching for this mountain, various shades of blue was used, combined with red and even white. This same blue color, without mixing, was used for the top portion of this mountain. I do a lot of cutting and stippling in this area to soften the clouds. All the edges were softened by stippling. As I etched the far distant mountain, I scratch over the previous cuts, which will serve as a foundation or a neutral gray underpainting, if you will, for the application of color over top of it. So with the correct ratio of lighter values over top of this, the feeling of distance and depth will actually be enhanced. For this next step, I use white with blue and violet. I experiment with the mixtures to attempt to find the exact hue for a small segment of the distant mountain. I go through this same process to complete the rest of the distant landforms. Here, after the mountain has been etched and inked, I proceed with the snow by stippling all of the shadow areas. And the colors used are with the same exact mixture. I stipple all of the sky area and ink it for color using the same process I did with the mountain. And I repeat the process over and over again until I'm happy with how the sky area looks. All of the colors for the mountains in the distance and the sky are the same, blue, violet, and white, except the ratios are different. So basically, lighter mixtures are used for the sky area. Okay, I finally finished the Scrimshaw. The last thing I did was the sky area. And I spent several days touching up this scrim. I completely changed the color of the mountain back here. I worked on these sheep. I worked between the cuts. I introduced a warmer color through here and touched up their horns a little bit. And then I went to this mountain here and worked on the clouds here, adding a lot more stippling through here to give it that wispy look. And I added more cuts up through here to further cover up the crack that showed up there. I went back through here, added more green to the ground and the rocks, and I touched up the sheep in the background a little bit, and that's about it. I spent several days doing the touch-up work for this piece, and I think it turned out great. Thank you for watching. I hope this demonstration was helpful to you. I want to mention that I'm making another Scrimshaw demonstration, and this is of a snow leopard, and I'm doing it on a walrus artifact, and it's for the Alaska Scrimshaw connection. And I have it here. It's still in progress, but this will be the next Scrimshaw demonstration. And remember to think good thoughts, throw out the trash, raise your vibration, and focus. I wish you the best.